gets a goal? Who got the assist? Who got the assist?
Greetings and sisters, hope you had a good weekend. Back on a Sunday with midweek fixtures to come after a bit of a whirlwind weekend of Gameweek 28, featuring absentee shocks and vice jam galore, evoking festive vibes a little bit as well there, except without the cheer, for some at least. One man though, who did let out a huge cheer when Timber scores, joins me tonight in Sam, for whom, he came in clutch, didn't he, the big Dutchman? How you doing, mate? Better than Saturday anyway, I trust?
Oh yeah, a lot better than Saturday. That was a horrific day. It seemed like everyone else was enjoying themselves, and I was just stuck on something like 14 points come Saturday evening. So that was pretty terrible. But yeah, if you look at it from an unbiased point of view, Game Week 28 was probably the most entertaining game week of the year so far, or the season so far. So plenty of goals. I think FPL just tweeted 36 goals, 35 different goal scorers, something like that. So it was a chaotic one. Luckily for me, it did get back to parity on Sunday. So yeah, not in as bad mood as I was yesterday, but let's see how we feel come the end of this pod. Anyway, as always, we are Who Got the Assist. On today's agenda, we'll try again for a shorter pod because of the quick turnaround. We'll see if we manage it. We'll do a Game Week 28 update to begin with, how we got on, what moves we both made in the end. And I think we actually already know yours, but I'll update on mine. We'll do a quick roundup of all the latest injury news and how we plan on reacting to it all from Game Week 28, because there was a lot to go through. Of course, we've learned a few things from the weekend as well that we need to analyse, as well as forms versus fixtures, players catching our eye, and 1 week punts alongside captaincy. And then, of course, whether or not we've got any plans for transfers ahead of the quick turnaround on Tuesday evening. So, just for any of you who don't know, Game Week 29 is a Tuesday deadline at 6 p.m. Of course, we're recording this Sunday, the 1st of March. Game Week 28 is in the books. Shall we have a look at how we got on, Tom?
Yeah, let's do it. So 78 for me this week, and I spent a long time last week deciding between Bruno and Haaland captain, and I kind of came to the conclusion on Thursday night that I thought Haaland would do more goals, and I was really quite torn up about it in FPL terms, at least. Obviously, in real life I wasn't, but in FPL terms I was like, he's dithering a lot, and it turned out it didn't matter. Bruno Weiss came through, all luck. What was a sort of, I guess? We'll talk about the absence of Haaland in a minute, of course. But I mean, long-term listeners will remember, sorry, a quick digression right at the top, that there was 1 week many moons ago, I didn't really think about my vice captain 1 week. And I think I may have heard the identity's wrong here, but the story remains the same. So I think Hazard, was the captain that week that everyone had, and he missed out of nowhere, but like Haaland this week. And basically everybody else, I missed the memo completely, as did Anthony, who was on the pod with me that year, vice Aguero for a brace, whereas I'd not thought about it, and he was really busy at deadline and forgot about it. Vice, I think, of Salah in a really tough game. I think it was against Arsenal, who only got an assist, whereas Aguero got a brace. So after that, lesson learned, I'm always going to think about the vice captaincy a little bit. And you can't say the way what would happen this week, right? Like, I did genuinely think Haaland could do points, and felt like watching Leeds on Saturday night that I might have been right, but we'll never know. As it is, 78 points, nice little green, 30k, just outside the top 100k, but not by much at all. Semenyo came in as advertised last week, just raised the floor a little bit with that goal. I did laugh that James Hill was apparently the consistency terminator. 6 points at least for the last 6 weeks in a row. Then I brought him in and broke him for everybody. Blankaroo. But yeah, I'm glad that Enzo and Munoz blanked, so I made a profit there. Elsewhere, as I said last week, Ekatike took his moment to strike, so I'm glad to have a 15-point head start on everybody else. I'm sure everyone else is going to own him come midweek. And in my head, I don't know if this is entirely true, but I needed him to beat Virgil, and he did that comfortably. So that was quite good. Rice assist, Thiago goal. I think it was 1 bonus, but he got yellow. Nice Gabriel 9-pointer, but that's basically wallpaper. And as Erling Haaland and Joe Anderson both missed out unexpectedly, I ended up with Chalobah on the bench, off off the bench for a massive 1 point. Never lucky, am I? But yeah, a goodish week, I suppose, with 78. Back to some semblance. I just feel like I'm kind of bouncing around kind of 150k to 100k. Like I just need kind of that breakthrough week. Anyway, speaking of needing a breakthrough week, Sam, on to you.
I was going to say, world's smallest violin needs playing at that point. If I was bouncing between 100k, 150k, I'd be much happier than the rank I am bouncing between. Yeah, I mean, I've been stuck between 250 and 350k since about game week 10 now, and no better this week, really. It looked like probably one of the worst weeks I've ever had. About Sunday at about 2:45 p.m, it was looking really quite shambolic. I was down outside the top 500k. Harry Wilson had bagged 2 returns. Obviously, Ekatike I missed out on. I mentioned to you in the DMs yesterday that I feel like I've missed every big haul from every single player this season somehow. So whenever there's a popular player I don't own, please make sure you do, because they are about to get a 15-pointer. I mean, I didn't have that many players playing yesterday, which was for saving grace in the end. I had Virgil and Thiago both getting goals, obviously not getting big hauls because Van Dijk conceded twice and Thiago yellow carded, and in a game where there were plenty of different goal scorers to take bonus away from him as well. So not great upside there. Luckily, Bruno Fernandes came in clutch, although I must admit I'm not mega salty on it, but I'm a little salty because he did really, really well. And I had him at about 85% effective ownership until all of the vice captainers got dragged in. So ended up something like 140%. So that could have been a real Brucey bonus for me. That could have been a really big moment if Haaland had come off the bench or played and not done very well. I will say on the flip side of it, if Haaland did play, he could have hauled. So it could have been just as bad anyway. So I'm not going to get too tied down to that. My transfers in were Van Dijk in for Munoz. Thank God I did not sell Tim before him. I was really 50-50 on that. I ended up with Munoz instead. Luckily, Timber will go eventually, but probably much closer to game week 31. And the other transfer in was in Burmo for Enzo Fernandez. Didn't really make me anything there. The other player I was looking at was Wilson, so it's unfortunate that I didn't go for him instead. But he's come off with some sort of injury as well, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, and Burmo was disappointing. Didn't even have a shot on goal against Palace, I don't think. And then yeah, finally, yeah, obviously had Erling Vice all week. Didn't make a difference, but it did mean I was reliant on my bench. Where Anderson didn't play, I got Alderete for 4 points instead. And I also didn't have Kelleher playing against Burnley, probably one of the easiest games of the season. I mean, they did concede 3, but sliding doors, who knows what they would have done if Kelleher was in goal. But yeah, congratulations to him and his partner for celebrating the birth of their, I think, first child, but a child anyway. So I'll let him off. But Dubravka coming on for 0 points was not much help. But yeah, Arsenal got me out of jail a little bit by the end. Bruno Fernandes helped. I shouldn't be too disappointed considering it is a green arrow. I leave this game week yet again frustrated. It's been 28 game weeks. I still haven't had a big week yet. I've not had one top 1 million rank. I miss out on all of the hauls, it seems. So yeah, I mean, it's just been a grind, and I just need one big week. And it feels like every week that goes past, I'm missing out on the player. So yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling quite iffy about the rest of the season at the moment. I'm not sure it's going to come good for me now, but yeah, we'll see. I'll keep plugging away.
You're saving the best for last. That's the reality of it. I mean, it's it has been for you. It's felt like you've been very much just treading water for an awfully long time. You kind of landed in a certain stratosphere of rank, and you've just kind of stayed there. And I had a little bit of a jump over Christmas, and I've kind of experienced the same thing. I feel like that's kind of a shared experience with lots of people. You're kind of just kind of stuck in your tier, as it were, and it's very difficult to move around in it. I think there's definitely kind of a lot of kind of hope in chip season now, more than anything, this year to be kind of the way in which the variance is going to finally come your way for one big week. So it won't take very much for you to go from 300 to 150k, and then from there you can hopefully bring it home.
Yeah. There's gains to be made. It just feels like every time I do take a bit of a risk, and I have taken a few. I mean, Bruno was going to be a bit of a differential this week, and then it just ended up not being one. And it's like that has happened quite a few times, not in the same exact way, but like whenever I have gambled, it's not necessarily paid off in the way that I was hoping. So yeah, I'll keep plugging away, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If I had like been set on Bruno since the start, or if I'd kind of gone into the week captaining Bruno, I'd been incredibly annoyed as well. That people that all these vices are coming. It's a bit like in bench jam. It's kind of like the more evolved version of bench jam in some ways, especially when it feels like everybody did that.
Yeah. If it had that similar feeling to me, and I know a lot of people got more points off the bench as well. So yeah, it is what it is. I am genuinely happy that it's not a big red arrow as it looked like it would be. So don't get me wrong, I am relieved compared to me 6-7 hours ago. But it just feels like a grind. I just really want one top 1 million rank this season. It would be such an embarrassment to go through a whole year without one. But we'll see. We can only try, can't we? We can't control the outcome.
No, we can't. Can we control the income though? I don't know. So injuries bite this week is the first thing to discuss. Like, there's so many issues. I mean, frantic stuff with Haaland, but I'm not going to talk about the cartel nonsense. Like, neither of us can be asked, and it's beyond tedious. But the ramifications
a week in advance apparently. So
oh really? Okay, fair enough. But the ramifications.
Or you got injured.
I think that you're definitely in the group chat, whereas I've been thrown out. But yeah, the ramifications of Haaland being out, as well as a host of load of other players, brings back those Christmas vibes. As I said, I mean, next week I think lots of us are expecting to hit bench 1 at the very least. Bench 2 probably, and some unlucky people might be looking at a hit to get out in 11 potentially. Like if you look at Haaland plus Rice plus O'Reilly plus Wilson, Silver said he's got a twisted ankle. Harry Maguire, a bit of a niche one, went off injured, and Anderson missed the game today unexpectedly due to illness. There is an awful lot of flags floating around, and insert Big Bang Theory gif here. There will be a lot of people who have at least kind of 2 or 3 questions, and I think there might be some unlucky people out there who have got more than that. Oh yeah, Rodon as well. Tony's just said in the chat as well. Also got injured, I think, on Saturday night. Yeah, didn't even notice that one because I don't own him. But yeah, absolutely mad, Sam, isn't it? And I feel like this midweek is going to be a bit of a survival kind of week more than anything else.
Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, out of nowhere, it felt like we've kind of been going through a little bit of a patch where there haven't been too many big injuries, unless I'm forgetting a few. But yeah, they've all hit at once. Obviously, Kelleher is in the mix as well, but it's not an injury. It was just probably a short-term thing. Anderson is probably a very short-term thing if it's an illness. So they're both in my team. I'm crossing my fingers that they're both going to be okay. But even without that, Rice, Haaland, Wilson, O'Reilly, there's so many well-owned players that are going to be major doubts going into this week. Not many of us have a load of free transfers either, it must be said. I think the majority of the game have 1 or 2 now. There might be the odd few out there with 3 or 4 having just wildcarded recently, maybe in Game Week 26. I know, or was it Game Week 25 was quite a popular week. So a few people might be more well equipped, but it's also worth noting a lot of those transfers probably need to be allocated for the blank in Game Week 31. Now, I don't know if I'd say luckily, but I suppose it is fortuitous that some of the players that are doubts going into this game week also are very likely to blank in Game Week 31. So it might offer a good excuse to prioritize getting rid of them, looking at Haaland, Rice, O'Reilly potentially, because, well, we're probably going to use free transfers to get rid of them in the coming game weeks anyway. So we might as well just do it sooner rather than later. It's just unfortunate if all of them are out and you've got the majority of them, because then, yeah, you're either relying on a pretty deep bench or hits going to be involved, when otherwise you were probably going to rack up the transfers and get rid of them closer to game week 31 itself. Is there any particular player you want to start off with by any chance here, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, let's just go for the jugular, shall we, and talk about Haaland. So, I mean, obviously the name that you threw in there, no 31. Form has been iffy for a little while, it's fair to say, and I think that there's probably a lot of kind of people wondering now: is it worth getting rid for this midweek? Like Pep said, classic Pep, I'm not sure when he's going to be back, which is obviously incredibly useful. Norwegian journalist who has been widely cited around the place has said that he's expected to be back for midweek. Fabrizio Romano has also backed that up in the tweet that is pictured here. I mean, it is very horses for courses. I'll talk about my I'm sure you all know my situation. I already own Ekatike, so it's a bit different for me. But I think, Sam, you're more in where everybody else is right now.
Yeah.
What's your take on it at the moment on Sunday night as we record this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously acting on limited information, but similar to you and the sources you've just cited, my gut feeling is that he should be back for Forest at home, and he is actually still my captain for game week 29, mainly because I don't really have many other good options right now. We'll come on to that later. But I'm relatively optimistic he plays, and maybe that's just because I am generally skewing as an optimist. Not sure why, but I just am. So I am hopeful that he plays. It doesn't feel like a long-term thing, but I think it's very important to just have that plan in place, because there is a non-zero chance that he is out for Forest at home. If he's a significant risk, I'm just going to sell him. Like, simple as, I'll buy Ekatike, no questions asked, and I'll probably captain Ekatike given the other options I've got. Because if we map ahead, it's obviously very likely that they don't play game week 31. We've gone through why there's that potential before, but that it's unlikely that they play that week. If he's maybe 25 to 50% likely to play against Forest, then it's West Ham is the only remaining game before he blanks. Now, West Ham's a great game on paper, but that Champions League draw has not been kind to Man City, and they've got Real Madrid home and away, both sides of West Ham, and it's not the easy turnaround either. I think it's a Wednesday, Saturday evening, Tuesday. They are going to want to have players fresh for that second Real Madrid tie. So I think that if there is a significant doubt around Haaland for Nottingham Forest, then I will probably just sell him, even if I think there's a chance that he'll be back for West Ham. Because even if there is, I think there's, again, a non-zero chance that he either gets reduced minutes or just rests if there is some sort of little injury doubt occurring in the background with him. Then they'll prioritize Real Madrid home and away, I would think, because I do think they've got enough to get through Nottingham Forest and West Ham without him if they need to. So, yeah, I'm hopeful he plays. I actually think he is probably more likely than not to play. But if for whatever reason we get pushed in the other direction and we think there's a significant doubt for Forest, I'm just going to get rid, because Ekatike's got 3 good fixtures. I think he matches up to Haaland well in the next 2 specifically, and then of course won't blank. So yeah, it would be Haaland Ekatike for me if there's any significant doubt over him against Forest.
Yeah, I feel you. I think I'm kind of envious of the simplicity of your situation, where it's just wait if there's decent news. I mean, I don't want to talk about leaks and all this sort of stuff again. So I think that let's just kind of leave that on the table. I think everyone knows knows where that stands.
Do they play on the Tuesday or the Wednesday?
I think it's a Wednesday, isn't it?
Wednesday, yeah. I mean,
Wednesday at 7:30. I mean, who knows, basically. And I think that if the indications are that he's more likely than not. I think you've got a very simple move to make.
Yeah.
And I'm envious of that, because for me, I've got Ekatike already, and I've got Thiago already, and I don't really like any of the other forwards out there. Like,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
and I think then if we start to roll in Rice, who limped off, who I own, Anderson, who was ill, and then for everybody else, you might have O'Reilly, you might have Wilson, you may have Maguire, you may have Rodon, you may have all of these sorts of other individuals. Maybe looking at your team and thinking, oh, okay, well, now I've got a bit of a situation where I may have some unfavourable benches, or I may even kind of have other absentees because it's a quick turnaround. Yeah. I mean, it's tricky. It really is tricky. I've got 0.6 million in the bank, so I think that at the moment I'm kind of tempted to leave Haaland there, because I don't really know what other striker that there would be, and either roll or maybe just move Potts to stack, which is incredibly unsexy. But that's the one that I'm looking at the moment as kind of like just getting another body on the pitch. I mean, he was always kind of coming in potentially as a cheap pickup for me in 31. So I mean, I could do that, bring that one forward. It's still a 31 kind of friendly player. Potts of no use to me. So it's just a bit of extra insurance, really, to get players on the pitch this week. I mean, that's another kind of scenario you could be in. There are, I mean, there's Free Dog in the chat just mentioned Tesco.
Yeah.
There's all these sorts of
mind it.
players. There's all these sorts of players you could get, right? But could get it just kind of fills me with kind of, I don't know, because you got to look at the fact that most of us, and we'll talk about this in a minute, are all probably looking at wildcarding in 32. So you're not going to be about Haaland for long. But if I'm about him for 30, 20, if he's like not around for 29, then I've only got one free transfer. Like it feels very much like I'm in a bit of a bind, because I don't really see the point of taking a hit either, unless. Why would I be buying Salah, for example? I don't see the point. So it's very, very sort of, it just feels like this week's week to survive. And if I can survive it and roll the transfer, even if I end up with, like unfriendly players coming on, like Chow at home to United or Chalobah away at Villa, then so be it. If I do have to, if it does kind of look like a Rice is a big doubt and Haaland's a big doubt, and we don't hear anything about Anderson as well, then maybe I will make that transfer and just kind of shore up my bench a little bit. But yeah, it feels very much like one to just sort of batten down the hatches a little bit if you can, and just kind of just try to figure out approximately what are the expected starts almost for your players. One pointer for a player like Michael Keane, it could be kind of where a lot of people go, just hoping that he comes on for a 90th minute cameo, and that'll be fine. Yeah, as I said, very, very Christmas vibes. It just feels like a very tricky game week all in all. Really,
Yeah, it does.
I mean, the next point I was going to make was, is Haaland now uncaptainable? Obviously, we've got to wait for the news, but if we don't get any news, Sam, I suppose it's probably a bit like this week, isn't it? Where it's kind of like, well, he either plays or he just doesn't.
I think so. I would find it weird if he was benched and came off the bench, but then again, I mean, I've been wrong plenty of times this season, so don't take my word for it. Just feels a bit illogical. Like all of the early murmurings, and because all of those rumors came out alongside him, like, okay, he's not going to play game week 28, but we expect him to be back for game week 29, or in the midweek he's aiming to be back. It feels weird to me that they would say that unless they knew something. So I am quietly optimistic that he's back for this, but if we don't get any news between now and the Tuesday deadline, it's not a long turnaround, so we might not get any news. I think it would be very risky to go with him. Although, as long as you've got vice captain on someone that you're happy with, then you're probably okay captaining him anyway, because I think he does either start or not play at all. With that in mind, if you've got Ekatike and Haaland, then this probably not that bad an idea to just captain Haaland regardless. But then again, how far off is Ekatike or Semenyo anyway? And I know you've got all three, so I understand why you would just bypass Haaland given the risk, but I do think he either starts or doesn't play at all. So I would probably still put the armband on him unless we get something quite significantly negative enough to take him out of your team altogether.
Yeah. No, it's very tricky. Also, what's the so I think. Do we care about team value and stuff this year as much? Probably not, right? I mean, I think I got him in at like 14.2 all that time ago, and now he's up at 14.8. So that's an extra kind of point.
0.4.
Well, but by the time he drops down even more,
you'll probably have 0.2, 0.3 in him. Yeah,
you'll have to find a little bit more, won't you, from for your wild card? But I don't think it matters that much this year because we're in a 1 million, as it's otherwise been known. So
that's it.
Yeah, wait for news. And I think the same probably applies to the rest of them. I think Man City said something about like with O'Reilly, just like kind of, I hope you feel better soon, something like that, which is a bit sort of concerning if you did bring him in this week.
I think he mouthed to, was it Diaz as he came off or something like, oh, it's not okay or something. He said something quite negative, like lip readers have been going crazy over it. So I'm
lip reading community, man.
It's a big community, bigger than FPL. It's crazy. I'd be concerned about O'Reilly, to be honest.
And then also Harry Wilson, the quotes from Marco Silva don't fill me with much hope for him either, with a twisted ankle and saying he wanted to come off at half time and all this sort of thing. Like, none of that makes me look at it and think, yeah. So I suppose it's kind of having a plan and just figuring that out. I don't know whether at what point you'd be kind of looking to take a hit, really, because it depends on the other players that you're kind of happy to get rid of. I wouldn't be getting rid of the majority of these players other than if O'Reilly's kind of confirmed out, if Haaland's confirmed out. If there's a twist angle for Wilson after this, I think they're probably going to be okay. So yeah, I mean, they've got you actually, haven't they, in the FA Cup on Sunday? So you'll have an idea at least of what's going on with Wilson by then. Gap. So yeah. All right. So yeah, take out an insurance policy. Basically, go and compare the market and ensure that you've got something at least to come on. And if it's a rubbish player, then so be it. If it's Alderete or something, then great, you're in a good position.
Swear Elliot and hopefully comes in clutch for once. Having 4 or 5 points on the first bench might be quite nice. But
exactly.
It hit death on this week, so maybe not.
He's finished. I heard washed. Yeah, it's because Andersen didn't play. That's why the two of them need to play. Otherwise, he loses half his power. Yeah,
interesting. I hadn't clocked that. Okay, that's a good point. I'll make a note of that moving forward.
Yeah, good man. Right, okay. And this weekend coming, then, Sam. There's quite a lot of bits and pieces on the horizon for the FA Cup, and I suppose that's going to help kind of figure out whether this kind of wildcard 32, free hit 33, bench boost 34. I know not everybody's on this, and obviously, actually, I just realised we should have said that if you were thinking of bench boost 29, I saw a few people kind of saying about that on Blue Sky.
Yeah, that's
that's definitely off the table now. So maybe you need to look at that a bit more going forward. But yeah, I suppose this weekend's going to have quite a big. As in the FA Cup weekend, not the game week in FPL, it's going to have a big bearing on kind of whether this kind of chip strategy comes to fruition effectively.
Yeah, it will. And the way the FA Cup draw for this round has landed makes it feel like we can have relatively high confidence in which teams are more likely to get through and which teams are more likely to go out. And I think that's instilled the confidence in this chip strategy. Wildcard 32, free hit 34, bench boost 30, free hit 33, bench boost 34, because we feel like, it's very likely that Arsenal will get through, that Liverpool will probably get through, Chelsea will probably get through, and then that's 3 big teams already. And then if you get one of Newcastle and Man City through as well, you've got a number of big teams with some good FPL picks who are likely to then end up blanking in 30. Free hit 34, isn't it? Bench boost 33. So blanking.
No, I'm an idiot. I've got the wrong way around.
No, that's all right. It was playing on my mind. Free hit in 34 with those big teams blanking, but then of course they double the week before, most likely. So it makes that chip strategy quite strong, but we haven't had the matches yet, and we also haven't had the draw for the next round. So let's play a very quick scenario, just one example from this list. Let's say that against all odds, you've got I don't know. West Ham beat Brentford and Southampton beat Fulham. Let's say that happens. Then all of a sudden, you've got both Brentford and Fulham, two teams that are well backed at the moment, by the way, who then won't have a blank in game week 34, won't double in 33 either. But what that might mean is, okay, well, I've got a load of players that are all of a sudden not blanking in game week 34. Maybe I should be free hitting in 33 and attacking the double by going after some other teams there. So that's just one example. There are plenty of others. Let's say all of the big teams go out all of a sudden against all odds. Then again, we might be looking at quite a small double in game week 33 and a small blank in 34 with teams that we don't really even care that much about anyway. So we think we know, but we've still got this round to get through and then the draw and the next round of like with those matches being played. So there's a lot of football yet to be played. I would not be taking it to the bank just yet, but the odds are looking pretty good that there will be a pretty good bench boostable week in 33 and a decent free hit week in 34, but anything could happen.
Yeah. Okay. And the draw is between 31 and 32, isn't it?
Draw is, yes, between 31 and 32.
Yeah, the long old break there.
Sorry, as in the next round is, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, is that the next round play? So when's the draw?
The draw will be just after, it will probably be on the Sunday.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So once the fifth round, it's always like on the it's always attached to like the last game. So it'll be on the maybe Monday actually, because West Ham Brentford are on the Monday. It'll probably be at like the start of the game or maybe half time in that one. I would think.
Okay, so we'll have even more yeah, it's basically just it's all projected, and then it's only when those games are then played between 31 and 32 when we actually know.
But this is why Wildcard 32 is quite popular as well, because we'll have perfect information by the time we get to game week 32, because the FA Cup round will have happened. So we know the teams that are likely to blank and double because they'll be through to the semi-finals or not. So that's why Wildcard 32 has kind of been so popular, because we should have perfect information by that point.
Yeah, the minimum threshold of information that you need to make a decision. Okay, cool. All right. We'll come back to this, I suppose, next week.
Yes.
Or 2 weeks' time when we come back, actually, because next week we're back. All right. Okay. Form versus fixtures. I think we just kind of assume most are fishing in the midfield and forward pools this week. So we're going to just go through that a little bit. It's game week 28 underlying data here, just because obviously the weekend's just finished and the understat is not updated, which is what we use these days. Few familiar names, unfortunately, but it is what it is right now as we barrel towards that blank. And first up is Menyo, Sam. 2 more weeks of him hurting you, right?
Yeah, it sucks because I love him and he's gonna keep scoring points, especially if Haaland's out as well, by the way. Then I'm gonna be very scared of him, and like I'm not gonna lie, he's playing on my mind whether or not I just almost lock in a future hit or really fly by the seat of my pants for game week 31 and just go for it anyway as a Rice replacement. The problem is Rice, I've got him at 7.5 million because he's only gone up by 0.1 and I've got 0.6 in the bank. Semenyo is going up tonight, so it would immediately make that unaffordable. And without Erling Haaland news, I just don't think I can do that right now. It's 2 very good weeks, but what I will say is that West Ham game, Semenyo is registered for the Champions League now. He could play both Real Madrid ties are reduced minutes potentially coming in against West Ham. If I buy a player now who's blanking in 31, they really need to perform in the next 2 game weeks. And if he only gets a few minutes against West Ham, then that really is a problem. I also think there are other players with 3 game weeks that have decent enough fixtures to maybe match up to him and be less than 4 points off of him. And I do think I would need to take a hit. So that is a crucial element. I love him. I'm really jealous of everyone who owns him, but I'm not going to buy him.
Yeah, it's only about avoiding the whole kind of this player's blanking, therefore I won't buy him thing. That's why I won't there. But obviously that the draw which happened subsequently was a bit sort of like, oh no. And then Newcastle as well in the FA Cup does mean that there's not going to be the same sort of expected rest that you may have otherwise seen. But we'll see where City kind of lay their chips, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, I still think he's a decent pickup. If you do have him 31.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Like if I didn't have too many blankers, I'd buy him now. Like you did. Like you've got a plan that gets you 11 players, including him, in your thinking. I don't have that option, and a lot of managers don't. So you're either in one bucket or the other. I'm in the wrong bucket, unfortunately, and I'm not willing to trade across with a -4 or a -8.
No, it makes sense. I mean, I think it's that game week 30 fixture, as you say, is a bit of a danger zone. It's just that if that's also danger zone for Haaland, what do they do? I mean, one of them's gonna have to play. Yeah, maybe Marmoush, or maybe as you say, kind of just they hope they've got enough basically without those star players playing.
He's back in training as well, so he might get minutes in that game potentially.
Okay, it's a very tricky fixture, basically all round that one. Yeah, is Savinho still at the club? I mean, one of those who
minutes. I think he got minutes.
Yeah. One of those just shows up. One of those just kind of shows up every now and again. Maybe he did play 22 minutes against Leeds.
Yeah. I thought I wasn't just glitching in my mind there. Yeah, he actually played for once. That's interesting.
One of it. So, yeah. He becomes like an absolute legend on Football Manager, by the way, Savinho. I don't know why. He just maybe he's a lot better than we think. All right, XTK next up. Up 0.5 from the start of the year. Underlying data is very good. Wolves up next, and then Spurs plays for the blank away at Brighton, and then Fulham off the game after the blank as well. So lands fairly well after that long break.
Yeah,
and Hugo obviously been very, very frustrating for me as a long-term owner. I've reaped the rewards this week, and I think it was the 13 points against Newcastle, which was very nice. But yeah, a lot of flashing to deceive, a lot of good underlying data, and a lot of big misses as well. It's fair to say. But yeah, one of those that if Haaland is, as we said earlier on, out, then I think he's just the obvious dyed-in-the-wool option to bring in for everybody, effectively.
Yeah. I think it is that simple. And for what it's worth, I'll use this opportunity to say that owners long term, you were rightly rewarded. I think he's been very unlucky not to get more returns recently. So I'm not glad that he hauled when he's not in my team, but you deserved the haul. I think holding on to him for this long, it was coming. I haven't seen many players that are that due points. So yeah, I mean, he's hauled now. He should play midweek against Wolves. It's a great fixture. And then Spurs is arguably just as good, if not better. If Haaland's out, he's immediately in my team and probably my captain this week. I think he's a fantastic player.
Yeah, no, I've always raised him. He's always been able to get the numbers, I think. But these players always take time, as we've seen with the kind of the change in perception around Florian Wirtz well before he got injured. These players always take time to bed in. Actually, he did start off like a train, didn't he? And it's only recently as well where he's really started to put those underlying numbers together. And next year, I think we'll be looking at 9.5, 10 million starting price, as mentioned a couple of weeks ago. Next up, Van Dijk, who is up 6.1, not 6, as I've written here. As you can tell, I was doing this quite late. And 129 points, another goal. So there's 3 attacking returns in a row. And I don't know, I went for Semenyo over Van Dijk, as I said last week. I think it's trickier to net these hauls for a defender, whereas the attackers you kind of feel like the ceiling's more there. But Van Dijk's a good floor pick, and I don't really mind anybody who's going there. I look at the underlying kind of ownership and just think, that's going to get increasingly worrying as we grow. He's third for overall transfers in this week. Van Dijk again. I think last week he was the most transferred in the end. I think that, O'Reilly was kind of in front for quite a while, and then Van Dijk kind of made a late move. And over the next 4, it's not that bad at all. And I don't really mind if people do want to get there. I can't, and I'm kind of all right with that as well, because defense doesn't really feel like the place at the moment where there is apart from Gabriel, a stick on. But I think Van Dijk, even if you buy him in, he's probably, if you buy him in, he's probably like the closest one you could probably think of in that kind of category.
Yeah, he's far from essential. I think the Hauls recently have been massively bolstered by attacking returns, and whilst that's great, and we know he's got that potential, no defender, especially no centre back like him, is going to reliably and consistently keep getting those attacking returns. He's gotten a bit fortunate to get 3 in a row, and there is an element of luck to that. I've lucked into one of those 3. I know a number of managers have got all 3, and the players out there who have owned him for a long time, again, have deserved to get those 3 attacking returns because he's been close to them throughout the season and has been underperforming slightly on those. But it's all coming all at once, and I wouldn't expect it to continue at that rate. As it slows down, who knows? He could get another goal against Wolves. It's possible, but the chances haven't increased just because he's picked up 3 attacking returns on the bounce necessarily. So he's a good pick. I wouldn't say he's a must own. And if you don't own him yet and you've already got defenders that you're perfectly happy with, I don't think you need to be ripping apart your team for him. But I had a spot that needed filling, and he was an easy transfer in as a defender if you're looking for one. But I don't think that many people are now looking for one. So I don't think you need to.
No, definitely not. So Boxley as well, probably worth mentioning here. Restores to number 10 after a return of Frimpong. And we've got an assist this week. Got Wolves next. I mean, if you're looking for a kind of a mid-range midfielder, we'll talk about Sade in a minute as well. I think that he might be all right as an option. Not on penalties anymore, you'd imagine, because Salah being around, but still probably one who's still got a decent share of set pieces. Not the best on-field data, but nonetheless still one that's worth considering if you want kind of those guaranteed minutes, because he has been Liverpool's best player this year, hasn't he? By a long way.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, hopefully Ekatike makes a late charge for that, but Szoboszlai's been great. I've owned him at times. I would be less keen because of the lack of penalties now, but I still think he'll tick along decently. Has started picking up attacking returns recently in open play too. So yeah, I wouldn't, again, I definitely not rip apart your team for it and say that he's a priority. But if you've got a spot in your midfield, let's say Declan Rice is out and you've already got your Brentford in place, or maybe you're not keen on Bournemouth, for instance, or Harry Wilson is injured, then yeah, he's probably in that bucket of midfielders that would make sense as a replacement. But I'm finding it hard to get like massively excited by him. I would have preferred Wirtz, so it's a shame that Wirtz is out for Wolves as well.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. I think there was always a world where I was looking at getting Wirtz alongside Ekatike.
I'd own him right now.
Yeah, you would have
as well. Oh well.
I think we'd have all gone there, wouldn't we? Let's go to a couple more kind of super exciting, or at least uber differential players, on both ends of the kind of the midfield spectrum. So up top, you've got Sade, a bit of a smooth operator in the midfield for Bournemouth. He's back. For Brentford, sorry, he's back. He's back on the score sheet as well, and I don't know, maybe an interesting individual, beloved by the analytics community. If that's their paradise, he could be worth a look. And at the other end, Tavernier, also loved of the analytics community, back playing decent minutes. Got 70, 80 minutes under his belt, I think it was. They got an assist with a nice cross, and also on penalties for Bournemouth, which I think is why he was very, very kind of highly regarded. Don't know, of course, about the Brentford fixture, about his levels of fitness, but having played 80 minutes, you could be thinking that's all right. Rayan actually played 90 again. All the subs went around and Rayan did stay on. So I think that probably is quite encouraging for people who did go there last week when we were talking about all those kind of cheap players. And of course, the big carrot is that they've got Burnley in Gameweek 30, albeit that's a turf more. So yeah, 2 very interesting players there, I think, to consider as kind of uber differentials if you're looking, if you're shopping around in that market. And I mean, I think both, Sam, we've kind of mentioned in the past. So I think maybe Tavernier at 5.3 with the set piece and also with the penalties, I mean, that could potentially be quite good. But there is that big but about his fitness, isn't there?
There is, but I interpreted the early substitution as quite promising for the midweek. I think he will play. I think he's just really important to the team, and what he adds is a lot more than what some of the other alternatives in his position does. So, yeah, I 5.3 on penalties, potentially game breaking. Honestly, the data's not even all that bad when he has been fit either. I'm running at about 0.39 xGI per 90. Good fixtures up until the point where a lot of us are looking at wildcarding, and even if it is at Turf Moor, that Burnley fixture is going to be the big carrot that everyone's going to be looking at next week. Ryan didn't have the most convincing game in game week 28, it must be said, and again, it could be interpreted one of two ways. Maybe he got 90 because he's just always going to get 90, or maybe he got 90 because they've got loads of options and they were like, okay, we'll run him out for the full 90 this week, and then maybe we'll rotate him in the midweek and we'll rely on someone else. So, yeah, it's all just trying to read the tea leaves there. I would be pretty confident that Tav starts midweek. And honestly, if Rice is a major doubt and Wilson we don't get good news on, which I think is quite unlikely, then Tav might be the player that comes in for me. So, yeah, I like him a lot. I think there's potential for hauls in the next three from him.
Yeah, just to clarify those fixtures: so Brentford at home, Burnley away, and Man United at home. As you can tell, had a bit of a challenging Sunday evening with my toddler. Yeah, I don't mind Sade either though. I mean, Sade, Dango, I mean, all of them are returning, so that's always nice. And I'm still not entirely sure. It's Burnley, so I'm not going to kind of over gild the lily with regards to how good Brentford are. But I mean, their fixtures are still pretty decent, aren't they? And it got Leeds away in the blank. Bournemouth up next. You know, Bournemouth do defensively post good numbers, and then Wolves at home in game week 30 is again the carrot. So similar to Bournemouth, they've got that kind of nice game week 30 where you do have kind of worries around the Man City players, for example. Like there may be odds, Sam, where like if I'm worried about Semenyo's fixture, that one of Tav or Sade may come in for Semenyo that week. Again, week 30. Yes, I'm using up a transfer, but it's a transfer with 31 in mind, and assuming that I'm kind of wildcarding in 32, it does mean that I've kind of lost the transfer for that kind of for that wildcard to roll over. But at that point, I think I'm not as worried as other people might be. But yeah, it's just one of those to kind of bear in mind, I guess. And finally, Stack at 4.7. The only reason he's on here isn't just because I was considering him, but I was looking at this earlier on just because I was just like, well, all right, if I'm going to do anything this week, I've got very little to play with, and there may be other people in the situation where we're like, well, okay, I'm going to shore up that fifth midfield slot. I was looking at it. It's like you've got Lefay, you've got Dewsbury Hall, and you've got Stack. I think that's kind of it. And Leeds' fixtures are just so good, as has been kind of widely sort of advertised for the run-in. They've done their hard fixtures now. I've been United away in 32, which was quite a testy game, isn't it? That Pennines derby sort of thing. I think 4.7, provided he stays fit, the DEFCONs are always there or thereabouts on set pieces, and genuinely quite a nuisance of a player. From the Bundesliga when he was it was either Hoffenheim or Hamburg, I forget which one. But a team who plays in blue. It's very difficult to see on the Bundesliga app. But he was always very, very kind of he loved those jewels, which is a huge thing about what they do in the Bundesliga and how they kind of score it, and which underlines kind of it translates into DEFCON effectively at that price. Plus this kind of very large man suddenly taking like kind of postage stamp level clean set plays. That's really interesting to me. And plus, it's just a bit of a weirdo as well, which I love. Like if you've seen his Instagram posts,
yes,
like,
I have.
Awesome, what a dude.
He's got a sense of humor. I like it.
Exactly. So I don't know. The stars may align this week, where I just kind of go, you know what, the fixtures, they're all right. And they are very good towards the end of the year, and maybe I was picking him up as a body on the pitch who's got good numbers and good minutes effectively.
I think in your position where you've already got two strikers alongside Haaland anyway, and therefore you're probably playing with that fifth midfielder that isn't really getting minutes for you. You've got Potts. I know a few other managers out there might have different options, but that fifth midfielder spot, someone like Stack does make a lot of sense given the next 3 fixtures, 2 home games in there. You'd back him for some def cons in at least one of those, maybe get a couple of attacking returns in that time. I think it's absolutely fine. Also, the other thing to mention is, although we all think we're going to, well, not all of us, but me and you at least think we're going to wildcard in game week 32, depending on the results in the FA Cup, there is a universe where we don't. And actually, if we don't, then Stack and Leeds have good fixtures for a longer period of time. So it might be one of those insurance policies that means that you can get a pretty reasonable team in game week 32 if for whatever reason the wild card doesn't end up landing that week. So yeah, I like Stack if you're in certain systems, especially if you're playing a regular 4-man midfield but have an Erling Haaland problem up top, then you can boost that fifth midfielder spot pretty cheaply and just have Stack for a couple of game weeks instead until Haaland's hopefully back.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Lots of interesting picks here, I suppose, if you're hanging around. We can see what the news is on Haaland, basically. I think after, and all the other guys who may have some injuries. After that, I think all hell breaks loose. All right, 1 week punt very quickly. This week, last week, I went for Watkins, who looks absolutely abysmal against Wolves, it's fair to say. I got outpaced by Mascara a couple of times and just looked lost. Big surprise he actually started by the sounds of it, actually. I made the pick, and I think all the Villa accounts like, why is he starting? Why is Tammy not on the pitch? And you went for Thiago, who flats to the sea for the 6 points. This week, though, we're all in, aren't we? Taking on Burnley.
Yeah, Operation Target Burnley. I mean, they very nearly turned it around against Brentford. It was admirable, but that might also be a bit of a gut punch for them that they didn't end up getting something from it. And at the end of the day, they still conceded 4. So, yeah, I think we're both going with Everton. I'm going Njai for the penalties, and I just love him as a player. But I also like the player that you've gone with as well.
Yeah, KDH all the way. I just feel like he's just due. Another one of those halls who are like, Jew Hall. No, hang on, no, that's not there. Right, okay. Captaincy this week then. So I think that if it is Haaland, then it is Haaland, and I think that's probably one of those sort of things you've got to just take as an overarching caveat here.
Yeah.
But if not, what happens? I think most people will look at Ekatike and just kind of say, right, he's in, I'm going to captain him, off we go. I think there's a tough one between Ekatike and Semenyo if you own both, though. Maybe the kicker being, does Semenyo have pens? If he does, if Haaland's absent, then I think that makes him a really interesting proposition against Nottingham Forest.
I think he probably does, like looking around, maybe Marmoush will pull rank just being there a little bit longer, but I think it probably is him, like he's got pedigree for it. Like he's not in the running for top goal scorer this year, but he's scored a fair few. I think he will go for it. So yeah, if Haaland is out, you've got a real decision. I obviously have less of a decision because I will buy Ekatike and probably just captain him ahead of the other player on this graphic. But if you've got Semenyo as well, I think between Ekatike and Semenyo, given the Haaland news is negative, I think that puts Semenyo in a really good spot.
It does.
So yeah, I mean, I hate to say it because I won't own him at all. So please don't captain him, guys, because it will punish me even more. But I think he is a very good option. I might actually even go as far as saying that I would put him ahead of Ekatike if Haaland is out, because I do feel like he probably would have penalties, and I'd always go for the penalty taker who gets an extra point for a goal over the striker who doesn't have penalties.
I think the thing is as well is that Wolves look like a mid-table side effectively at the moment.
They kind of do, yeah.
Obviously, that's not going to diminish Liverpool in any way, shape, or form. Like, the old kind of the opposition of the team that you don't want to captain the player against, making them out like to be AC Milan. No one wants to break into that trap. But I think you're right. There's definitely going to be a decision to be made between the two. I really don't mind Semenyo for these ones, for this game. It seems like kind of there's no new manager bounce at the moment, at least for Nottingham Forest. And I think that game's going to be a bit of a donation game for them. I'm sure they'll look at that and just think, well, this isn't the game we're expecting very much in. I'm maybe wrong. Maybe wrong. Yeah, be very close to the two of them, and yeah, if not, if you if you end up with who's your vice effectively, if you don't buy Ekatike because Haaland might be fit, so you think, all right, I'm going to leave the captaincy on Haaland. Does the vice go to Bruno? Does it go somewhere else? I mean, that's what's quite tricky, I think, for a lot of people who aren't in the situation I am in of owning Ekatike and Semenyo already. Look around, it's not great. Like, look at the template at the moment. It's kind of Thiago away at Bournemouth. All right, those games could go absolutely bananas. That could be a 4-4.
It could.
Sure,
Yeah.
why not? Rice probably been sold a fair bit, but away at Brighton, you're not going to go there. But Bruno away at Newcastle, they have been iffy, but they are a little bit better at home, it's fair to say. And then I think the other one in the mix would be Morgan Rogers, who again, if anyone's seen Villa recently, outrunning that XG, the XG has caught them a bit like a demidog. So it's very difficult to tell where that vice goes, Sam. I mean, if you are, we'll see it in a minute for you, I suppose. But where's your vice currently sitting?
Yeah, if Haaland is expected to stay in my team and be fit to play, then my vice will be on Bruno. He is reliable. He's got so many routes to points. The data's good. Man United are playing quite well at the moment. And it's kind of gone under the radar how poor Newcastle have been for quite a while now. They're sat below Sunderland, 13th in the table, I think, which Geordies will not thank me for. But they haven't been great for a little while. I think they're the second lowest form in the Premier League over the last 6. Have only beat Spurs in that time. Not kept a clean sheet since the 21st of January against PSV, I don't believe. So, yeah, I still think that Man United have a good chance of putting a couple past them. And as we know, since the dawn of Bruno Fernandes's time, if Man United score, it's quite likely to have some sort of Fernandes involvement. When is Bruno G back, by the way? That would be my main question.
I think it's quite a while.
Yeah.
He's been ruled up I'm pretty sure it was like weeks and weeks. More than anything else. Yeah, I expect it's back 11th of April. That's a long way.
Yeah. With that in mind, I think they do look much shakier in the midfield, and controlling the games is a problem for them at the moment. So, yeah, that if in those sort of matches where there's a lack of control in midfield, he does step up. And I think Bruno Fernandes is going to have a bit of fun in the middle of the park. So, might see him dropping a bit deeper, actually, and just playing that quarterback role a little bit more with the spaces left in the midfield for him. So we'll see. Anything can happen. Newcastle are a good team and they can turn it around. But I think as a vice, I'm suitably comfortable with Bruno.
Yeah, right, fair enough. Right. Well, I think a lot of it just hinges on Haaland, doesn't it, really? Because that EO is going to be dispersed out so far. So maybe you might actually have a decently impactful captain. Like those of us who own one of Semenyo or Ekatike probably will go that way. If there's not enough kind of doubt for people to sell Haaland, then I think that you would kind of end up with a lot of, as you saw this week, people defaulting over to Bruno. So yeah, hopefully if it goes well, we'll see a lot of dispersal and a lot of kind of interesting kind of different paths taken or different kind of outcomes felt. But yeah, that's a good thing to think about before it happens. But after it happens and you don't get the good outcome, yeah, it's not as fun, is it? Let's face it. Right, okay. Well, we've managed to do it in less than an hour, Sam. All good. Amazing. On to our teams for this midweek.
Yeah, well, I don't think we'll be spending too long on our teams this week because we've already talked through a lot of the plans throughout the pod. I'm first up. I've self-inflicted 4 flags on my team, although there's only one flag officially right now. That's Erling Haaland, of course. But I would have down Kelleher, Anderson and Rice as potential doubts. I think Kelleher, it's a minor doubt, but because it's a tight turnaround, there's an off chance that he's still away. And Valdemarson will play again for the Bournemouth game. I think he'll come back. And even if he doesn't, Everton away for Dubravka. I'll live with it. It's a week and it's not worth a transfer in goal for me. So that one is going to stay. Back four at the moment of Gabriel and Timber. I think that is fairly secure right now. White not even on the bench there, I don't believe. So I think it's unlikely that Timber loses his place midweek or gets rested. Probably a better way of putting that. Then Virgil van Dijk obviously against Wolves, and Anderson at home to West Ham. Now that is a risk because an illness can take a few days to get through, but he's so important that you'd think that if he's close, he'll probably play. And if he's not okay, then I do have Elliot Anderson with his 3-4 pointer coming off the bench, most likely away at City. I think that's okay. And if not, then Alderete is also there away at Leeds as well, which isn't great, but it's also like you could get 3 or 4 points out of him. So it's probably not worth a transfer there in defense either, even if Anderson is out for another week. But again, I think he'll probably play. Into the midfield, if I sell one of them, it would be Rice. The other three starting right now are Fernandez with the Vice, and Burmo away at Newcastle as well, and Rodgers at home to Chelsea. Rodgers has been very frustrating, but this does feel like exactly the sort of game where he'll just shock everyone and just bag a brace. And I have a little bit of a Timber feeling about it. Like if I sold him now, it's before the haul kind of thing. I feel like it's not a million miles off, even if he has been very disappointing. So I'm going to leave him in, and mainly because I've got bigger problems. If I had no other problems, he would definitely be someone I looked at. But Rice is going to be a doubt. So again, a player that I've sort of self-flagged. If he is a doubt, then I would love to buy Harry Wilson, but I think he's also going to be a doubt, so I probably won't do that. And that would probably leave me with Tavernier instead. So that could happen, but all of that gets pushed to one side. If Haaland's out, then it's Ekatike in, and then my bench will just save me with any doubts over the other players. So Elliot Anderson and Alderete might both have to play. But ideally, Haaland's fit. I can captain him, and hopefully Rice is fit as well. Actually, better than that, hopefully Rice is a doubt, but Wilson is fit somehow. Because if that's the case, I'll just buy Wilson, and I'm quite happy to do that. And I can just leave Haaland in for another week or two.
Yeah, I feel you. So the news from tonight is that Arteta, since it's been recording, Arteta has said Declan asked to be substituted, so he'll need to be assessed.
Okay.
We'll have to see if he's available for Wednesday, unfortunately.
Okay.
So we've got another Haaland situation effectively there, where I think, and then also, our game is okay. It's Leverkusen, which sandwiches the Everton game in game week 30. And obviously, given the wider context surrounding Arsenal, I suppose we're still going to be trying to go for that one. But still, another one where maybe a bit like Haaland, you'd probably be okay to dispense for services if there are any worries about him starting.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So late in the pod, late news. Stop press. Might be another
the most
option
unsurprising breaking news ever. Rice doubt for game week 29 after limping off. Yeah.
Oh, so you got you're in the same situation as me basically, where you've got Anderson. Who knows if those sniffles are bad, then it's not going to be great. Then he's probably not going to play. Rice, if he's out, and Haaland, if he's out, you're down to two subs. So you need to figure that one out, whether you buy someone in for Haaland or Rice. To make sure you get an 11 effectively.
Yeah. I think that's fine. I expect one of Haaland or Rice to play, to be honest. And I think Anderson will play as well. So I think I'll be okay. But I've got planned. I already know who my transfers would be if either Haaland or Rice are doubts. So I'd just do that. It'd be fine.
Like I really want to buy Wilson, but the problem is he's in the same situation. He's in the same situation though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like I can't see him. I don't see him playing this midweek.
No, nor do I, unfortunately.
So I mean, then we're looking at you're looking at my initial sort of go of stack, or you're looking at probably like Dango or something like that. It's very
Tab. Get Tab. Come on,
mate. You gotta get off that robot, man. The robots are going to take over eventually, but no, I'm kidding. I don't mind Tab at all. No, as a pickup for this week, it might be that I'll look at that in my team as well. I mean,
Or getting Jai.
for 1 week, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, let's do it. The pen merchant. They're so heavily reliant on penalties in die to do anything.
How often would you need to play stack?
Just this. I think it would just be this week in 31, and then our wildcard.
Oh, and 31. Maybe go Dewsbury Hall.
Maybe.
This week's good enough, and then 31 is Chelsea, right? He could get something against Chelsea.
Yeah, so Sunderland and Brighton and Brentford at home for stack in the same fixtures. I mean, either one, I wouldn't mind, honestly. I think it just depends. So I could, in this situation, so it's a very similar team to you, except without Van Dijk effectively and without Timber. So I've got Raya in goal instead of your man Kelleher, new baby dad. Know how you feel, bro? Hill at the back, along with Gabriel and Anderson currently on the pitch. Who knows if he's going to play midfield? Rogers, yeah, sticking around. I mean, I completely agree with you. This is going to be the week that, well, I think if there weren't this many injuries, I feel like people would be like, oh, get rid of Rodgers, get rid of him. And I'd be like, no, I'm keeping him, because Chelsea is just the sort of game where he scores 2 worldies from the edge of the box and everyone's like, oh, why did I sell Rodgers? Oh, yeah,
100%. I really hope that happens.
Me too. I have no sympathy as well for people who are sold. Bruno, Rice, and Semenyo up front. Haaland, Ekitike, and Thiago. Ekitike's currently got the captain's armband, because who knows? Who knows? I mean, we'll have to see. On the bench, I've got 2 dodgy central defenders in Chow at home to United and Chalobah away to Villa. So I'm expecting one of them to play. So I need to kind of just flip a coin over which one's got the highest point potential. Who knows at this moment? Maybe about the home player, but Villa have been toothless. I'll see how I feel by the end of it. Yeah, I mean, if Rice is out, I think that I might think about that and maybe think about kind of the options that I've got. I'll have 7. If I did Rice out, I've got 7.9 to play with, which is kind of a little bit quite nice actually. Maybe I would kind of have a look at Sharda, which would probably be a bit of a strange one. I mean, is it a crime for me?
Away. The robot can come another time. They'll take over eventually, etc., etc. What did you just say to me?
Is it a crime to look at that sort of player? I don't know. I don't mind it at all. I'll cherish the day if I bought Sade. But no, I feel like there's so many unknowns at the moment. Like I'm just not. I don't mind Tav, but I'm not like in love with buying him in. I think it's just like game week 30 fixture against Burnley that I really like. I mean, the one I really want is Harry Wilson back.
Same.
But I just can't do it. I just don't think I'm going to be able to do it this week. So it's kind of just whether I kind of keep hedging my bets with Rice and kind of just hope that he plays in game week 30, which I expect he would if he was fit. But he's slated to go in 31 for me anyway, because I suspect I'll be keeping hold of Semenyo. So yeah, it's very very tricky, that one. I think that I can't know basically on Sunday. But I've got a very, very busy week next week, so I'll have to try to make a decision. Yeah, at some point. Just hope that I've got some idea when we get to Tuesday night at 6 p.m. If some pearls of wisdom is going to come through, and maybe I would be buying Sade. I just don't know.
If we get, I think this is a good final question. If we get no information on Haaland or Rice, what are you likely to do?
Think I would I think there's more options to replace Rice than there are to replace Haaland, because I've got one free transfer.
Right.
If I have more than one, then absolutely I'd be messing around with it a lot. But as it is, one free transfer, I've got I'm in a bind. So this is about where the points potential is with that one free transfer. I don't think it is selling Haaland, because I don't really see another forward being worth it. So yeah, I'd probably be selling Rice.
Yeah, because you've got Ekitike, I completely agree. Whereas I might be on the other side of it, because I don't have Ekatike. If I don't have any news on Haaland whatsoever, I might just twist rather than stick. But there's risk attached to that as well. So yeah, it's a tricky one this week. I think we're all going to use our benches one way or another. And a lot of us only have one free transfer to deal with both Rice and Haaland and potentially others, as we mentioned earlier. So yeah, difficult one. But yeah, don't be scared to use your bench this week. I think it will come in handy. And who knows? This is the week that bench heroes are made. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, lovely 1 points off the bench all round. Right, there we go. I think that's everything in record time.
Yeah, record time, just an hour and 10 minutes today. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. Quick turnaround and all of that. So hopefully we've given you all the information you need to get ready for Game Week 29. Thank you all for listening. As always, we have been Who Got the Assist. You can find us on Blue Sky at Who Got the Assist, all written out one word. FPL Pricey for me. On X, it's WGTA_FPL. Again, I'm just FPL Pricey on there. And on YouTube, once again, it's Who Got the Assist, all written out, one word. And again, I'm over there at FPL Pricey. And if you did enjoy the pod, we'd really appreciate it if you could follow us on those social channels, give the pod a 5-star rating wherever you're listening. And if you're watching along on YouTube, do consider leaving a like, hitting subscribe as well. All of those things really do help us out.
Lovely. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Sam, as well. Back on next Tuesday week to assess the fallout of those FA Cup fixtures and hopefully figure out what happens now the chip situation has been somewhat solidified. We'll have more projections. It'll be very exciting. Hope it's just you think about midweek and what to do about all these injuries. We'll see you next Tuesday week.
Oh, it's a goal. Who got the assist? Who got the assist?